Guys, I know it's been a little bit since you've seen the 2GR Celica, and if you haven't seen the previous video, you're going to want to check that one out first. It's back and better than ever. Today's video, I'm going to go over on what actually happened with this thing, why it's been gone so long, why the engine bay looks a little bit different. So let's get started. Well, to start things off, let's discuss where the car has been. Unfortunately, the original engine blew up. And upon the original engine failing, we needed to wait around until we found a good swap candidate to replace it with. In due time, in about 2 months actually, a Lexus ES350 showed up into the junkyard with only 70,000 miles on it, so we grabbed all our tools and got out there as quick as we could to grab that engine. Oh yeah. Alright, it's all strapped in, about as good as it's gonna be. Now that we are back from our cruise, let's go ahead and take a look at what has changed since the last time the car has been on camera. Taking a quick look at the outside of the car, we went ahead and wet sanded and polished the entire paint job. It looks 10 times better now, and we changed out all 4 rims and tires. Previously it had some 18s on there with some Kenda K20As, and now it's got the Scion FRS rims, which are 17s, and they actually fit the car so you don't rub when you're going in a straight line or even turning the wheel. So that, to me, in itself, is just 10 times better improvement. And I think they fit the exterior of the car really well. All right, so taking a look at the engine now. This engine's out of a 2010 Lexus ES350. Another modification that we did to the engine bay is we shaved down the RAV4 mount just a little bit more. There's an arrow on the aluminum casting spacer that's there. You want to shave it to the upper point of the arrow just enough so it sits flush with the frame, taking that little slope in consideration of the frame rail, and then that will get you as level as you can get the engine in that combination. As you can see as well, the wiring was redone completely. It's all been reorganized and neatened. This is just dangling here. It's just got to get rebolted in. In the meantime, that's just been sitting there, but we can get that fixed. That's easy peasy. And talking about the wiring, one thing that was added and actually got to work on this swap was the air conditioning. So if you weren't aware, on the 94 through 98 Toyota Celicas, the AC wiring relay for the compressor is right here in this box, and the actual 12-volt feed from that box goes back in there all the way around on the inside of the cab up into this plug right here. It's called EA1. comes through this harness and then feeds from there and comes around and then goes to the AC compressor. So it's really long travel for it to go there, but you really need that to talk to the AC amplifier inside the cab in order to get the AC to work. One thing that I did find out is you can't use the original 2GR AC compressor. You actually have to run a 1GR AC compressor. You send the 12-volt signal from the AC compressor clutch relay, which is right about here, right into the AC compressor, down there to its plug. And then there's two other pins on that compressor plug. It's like MG negative and MG positive. It's basically just telling the AC amplifier, hey, the AC is on. You run those onto the cab, and then they go to the 2-pin plug that's inside the cabin. I'll actually put a little footage of what that looks like there. Over here, inside the cab, if you take a look, there's this plug. I don't actually recall the name of it off the top of my head, but when you see it, you're going to look for a blue and white wire, and then a red and white wire. This is going to be pin 4 and 5. They're right next to each other. The SR negative is going to be the blue, and then the SR positive is going to be the red, or it's vice versa. But these two are the ones you're going to have to worry about. So when you have the AC on, you're going to press this button, kick the car on. It's going to start, run, idle. That's great and all, right? This piece is going to talk through that black and white wire, and then from that black and white wire at the compressor going to kick on. These two wires are going to talk to the AC amplifier or the AC controller, and it'll kick the AC compressor on. Okay, so now we're underneath the car. You can kind of see how the AC lines are set. Yes, it's close to this fan, but there's a good amount of clearance there. Not ideal, I know, but it does work. And the best part is, yes, they are factory Celica AC lines, so you don't have to worry about the fittings not matching up to the body side of things. This is a 5S FE AC line right there. This one is the 7A something small 4-cylinder thingamajig right there. So that's all good. I'm gonna have to fix this wiring here because you can see it's all twisted and shingad. This is the temp sensor that goes onto the radiator. What this does is when it reaches the temperature, I'm pretty sure it's 195 degrees Fahrenheit, it kicks the fans on, but this thing is running all the time. So that tells me it's probably the sensor bad. But anywho, so we got the AC wiring that goes right here. And what I plan on doing is these are the two feed wires that are going to go to the AC amplifier. I'm going to run it so it goes along the same fuse line that goes here. And then the AC compressor wiring and the fan wiring on this side and the temp wire are all going to be in the same loom. And then if I ever need to disconnect and everything, I don't have to worry about disconnecting it at EA1 with that big gray connector or anything else along those lines. And everything should all be well and good and happy and work a little bit better that way. Now, yes, I can go back, deloom the entire wiring harness, run 3 wires from here, put it into this piece, and then put it back on the factory engine harness. But I believe since every other wire for the AC is literally right there, I don't think that's not a bad idea in order to make that work the way it is. And then, you know, anything AC related, it's all on its own separate circuit. And you can see I already took the fender liner out, and it's going to go right along the line inside of the same loom that all those wires go, and it'll work out perfect. So like I said, everything is going to be integrated all in like one separate unit and have absolutely nothing to do with the wiring harness that's related to the engine, because the less I have to mess with that wiring harness, the better. Alright, so now that you understand how the AC system works with the 2GR swap, let's look at the fuel system. So I did get a lot of questions on how to get the fuel system set up in this exact swap, and thankfully Wilhelm Raceworks provides a bolt-in solution for the Toyota Celica. Even though it was originally designed for the MR2, it works absolutely perfect with 0 modifications in this chassis as well. So let's take a look. So right here, you can see the fuel filter situation and the fuel pressure regulator bolted right in on top. The feed for the fuel rail is this one right here. The return to the actual fuel tank is this one right here. And then the actual fuel pressure regulator is this little silver container right there. This little kit that is shown right here is actually what he provides with every single AN fitting, AN adapter that you would need in order to make your fuel system work for your 2GR, including the one that goes on the fuel rail, which is located right there. And so all you literally do, this one's actually the like braided rubber hose that you're able to just use a hose clamp on like they do from the factory right there. Take it, bolt it in on top of the fuel filter, and you basically have a fuel pressure regulator for your 2GR setup just by screwing this in, and it replaces the original hard line that used to go to the 5S or 3S fuel row. So once that's all situated, you go ahead and run the lines accordingly. Make sure you have the orientation right, because if you don't, you'll literally just bypass all fuel right into the tank and you won't see any fuel at the fuel rail. Don't those gauges look fantastic? Now that we're on the interior of the car, you can see we got all the gauges and everything working, RPMs, coolant temp, fuel gauge, speedometer, the whole 9 yards. And air conditioning's working fantastic. Blows literally ice cold. I'm not gonna leave that on so you guys can hear me. And we even swapped out this radio. Now this guy we found on Amazon was about 60 bucks, give or take. Hooked it up to the OBD2 port in the car, and it gives you a whole bunch of different options you're able to do with this thing. You know, you got fault codes and a whole bunch of other stuff like gauges and, you know, all that other nonsense that people who are really into cars would love to see. And this guy was only 60 bucks. And if you guys are really interested in grabbing one of these, this is literally the absolute cheapest double DIN Android radio that money can buy that you can hook to an OBD2 port, and I highly recommend it. I'll leave a link in the video description. Alrighty everyone, so that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this week's video. If you happen to have any specific questions on how to do the 2GR swap, go ahead and leave a comment down below. If you guys really like the content you're seeing here, go ahead and like and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. I got a couple more videos of pulls that we did with this that I'm going to throw in at the end here, just because the audio wasn't that great. So hope you guys really enjoy, and I see you in the next one.